the homeless have worse luck than the rest of us already. It might surprise you to know that there are many stories of people with nothing who ended up with a substantial something after playing the lottery. Meet some formerly homeless people who won big when Lady Luck smiled at them. Michael Engfors. Michael Engfors was left homeless following a divorce and the collapse of his business. For 6 years, he lived on the streets of Aspen, Colorado, and stayed at a local homeless shelter when possible. One day, he spent $10 on a scratch ticket at a gas station, and to his absolute shock, he won $500,000. The odds of winning on that particular ticket were 840,000 to 1, and Engfors managed to come out on top. Instead of heading off to a luxury hotel, he spent the weekend sleeping on the floor of a church before the shelter director could drive him to the lottery office to claim his prize. Jeremy Kowalis, an employee at the Aspen homeless shelter, claims the win couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. When asked what he planned to do with the money, Engfors claimed he looked forward to reconnecting with his daughter now that he has the means to do so. In true Colorado fashion, he announced that he also wanted to get a pair of skis. While Engfors would frequently spend $1 or $2 on scratch tickets, that particular day he decided to splurge and opt for a $10 ticket instead. Sometimes the best decision really is to treat yourself. Eric. Pulling a prank on a homeless person sounds terrible, but one viral video prank ended up going extremely well for a homeless man known as Eric. YouTuber Magic of Rahat provided Eric with a fake lottery ticket with a real prize of $1,000. When Eric won the lottery, he was overjoyed and immediately tried to share his winnings with Rahat, claiming that he didn't need all of that money. The video was a huge hit but gathered mixed reactions. Everyone was touched by Eric's humble reaction to his windfall, but many criticized Rahat for exploiting Eric for his own gain. Regardless of their feelings about the video, many people opened up their own pockets for Eric. He collected over $40,000 in donations after the video went up, which is over double the initial fundraising goal of $20,000. Rahat helped Eric use the money to pay the rent on a completely furnished home for an entire year. Eric even paid it forward and donated $1,000 to another homeless man, which would allow him to rent a hotel room for an entire month. Derek Mabusu. Many of us have reluctantly coughed up a few dollars to put into our office's lottery pool. We know we probably won't win, but we aren't willing to risk the odds, however slight, that we'll be the only ones showing up for work on Monday. Derek Mabusu and his 8 co-workers from Omaha, Nebraska won a $365 million jackpot that they split among themselves. Now, Derek himself wasn't homeless at the time, but every single year he donates tens of thousands of dollars of his winnings to the local homeless community. Each Christmas season, he makes a massive donation of $45 Walmart gift cards to the Sienna Francis House Homeless Center. The center's director, Mike Sacklar, claims that Derek wanted to help the homeless directly during this time of giving, so the two decided on the gift card idea. Mike claims that the holidays are an especially tough time for people at the center, and Derek's annual gift helps lift their spirits significantly. For over a decade, Derek has made this his Christmas tradition. Maybe these homeless people didn't buy the actual winning lottery ticket themselves, but for over 10 years, they have truly won the lottery. Glenn Williams. They might say that you can't win if you don't play, but Glenn Williams proves that isn't always the case thanks to the generosity of Sophia Andrade from Massachusetts. Compared to the other people on our list, Sophia's scratch ticket winning was a paltry sum, $200. But to many people, that's a substantial windfall, and it certainly was to Glenn. With temperatures plummeting, Glenn stood on the side of the road hoping for spare change when Sophia spotted him and picked him up for some hot food and coffee. After learning that he had nowhere to go for the night, she used the money she had won to buy him 3 nights at a hotel. Giving your lottery winnings away would be enough for most people, but Sophia started a GoFundMe on behalf of Glenn and raised over $15,000 in just 2 days. People were happy to donate material goods and warm clothing as well. Glenn even got a free haircut from a local barber. He claims that he is overcome with gratitude, and this has shown him that there are indeed good people in the world willing to help out their fellow man. Unidentified winner. While some people are happy to share their winnings with the homeless, others would prefer to keep the cash for themselves. Emily Leach from California won $1 million playing a scratch-off game and used it to pay off her significant medical debt. She had gone through a ruptured spleen and a severe case of pancreatitis a year prior, and the money was a miracle to her when she won. Her story quickly made headlines, and it seemed like everything was going her way. Amazingly enough, Emily actually won big on another scratch ticket, earning a $26,000 prize. However, she claims that she accidentally gave the winning ticket to a homeless man who was standing outside of a shop. According to the homeless man, he gave Emily money to purchase the ticket because he knew that she had won previously and thought she would bring him luck. Emily's side of the story was that she mistakenly handed the man her ticket when she was just trying to give him cash. The clerk at the time claims that she handed over the ticket intentionally. Emily urged the man, who chose to remain anonymous, to share the money with her, but the resulting public backlash on her was immediate. For some reason, people didn't enjoy seeing a millionaire try to take money away from a homeless man. You might not win thousands playing the lottery, but you might just get the answer to our trivia question right. If you're tempted to go out and buy some Powerball tickets after watching this video, just how good are your odds of winning the grand prize? We'll tell you if you should pick those numbers at the end of the video. Wilbur Herbert Jr. For a long period of his life, Wilbur Herbert Jr. was homeless and living on the street. He had been declared disabled and was unable to work or afford even his basic living expenses. Thankfully, he eventually reconnected with his brother and sister-in-law, who were eager to help him get back on his feet. His sister-in-law even encouraged him to take part in the incredible $1.6 billion Powerball jackpot. Wilbur purchased a single line of numbers that cost him $2 and let the lottery terminal pick what would become his lucky numbers. While he didn't win the grand prize, he did win $50,000, which is no small amount, especially for someone like Wilbur. Many years ago, he had also played Powerball but had won a mere $500. He didn't expect to win this time and actually slept through the draw, only finding out that he had won the next day. He was in shock, and when he contacted his brother, he didn't believe him at first. Wilbur's sister-in-law says that this money will change Wilbur's life forever and is the boost that he needed to get back on his feet. Steve Borick. If you're sleeping rough, things seem like they can't get much more frustrating. But Steve Borick found out the hard way that they can, by winning the lottery and yet not receiving a penny. Steve lives in Vancouver, Canada, where he played an $8 game of Keno. He had never played before and was shocked when he won a prize of $25,000. The catch is that because he doesn't have a valid form of identification, Steve was unable to actually receive his prize. He claims he lost his ID during a period of upheaval and never saw the need to replace it. Steve ended up homeless after his marriage fell apart, and he was left saddled with medical debt and suffering from depression. He claims that he lives day to day, taking temporary jobs when he can. To replace his photo identification card, he needs a copy of his birth certificate, and to get a copy of his birth certificate, he needs a photo identification card. Thankfully, 8 months after he won, Steve was finally able to collect his winnings thanks to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation that heard his story and stepped in to help. He used the money to rent a condo and was able to secure a job with a construction company. Dennis Mehurin. After winning the lottery, you would think your first step would be to secure housing if you didn't already have a place to stay. But for Dennis Mehurin, such an upgrade wasn't necessary. For over 2 decades, Dennis has lived in a tent situated in a homeless encampment in Bloomington, Illinois. One day he decided to treat himself to a scratch ticket and found that he had won a $50,000 jackpot. Although he was shocked and delighted with his win, Dennis decided that the money would be best spent helping others. Sandra Rankin, who works at the gas station where Dennis bought the ticket, claims that Dennis is a regular at the shop and has always been a very kind man with a great sense of humor. Dennis decided to divvy up his winnings amongst the people who live in his homeless community, rather than keep it all for himself. Although he isn't completely selfless and has announced that he plans to buy a bigger tent for himself to live in. Crystal Nelson. Despite living in a vehicle, Crystal Nelson considered herself to be fairly lucky. She had won $1,000 in the lottery here and there, which is more than most of us ever will. Due to unfortunate circumstances, Crystal found herself living in a truck with a friend and working as a carrier for the local newspaper. One day she purchased a Powerball ticket, hoping for the best, and ended up winning a $50,000 prize on that ticket. She has big plans for the money and intends to get an apartment, purchase a new vehicle, and maybe even go on vacation to visit her brother in Arizona. Crystal claims that she doesn't intend to change her lifestyle and still plans to take things one day at a time, but she is looking forward to owning a few items to make her life a bit easier. Calling a parking lot your home gets rather depressing, and Crystal is excited to finally have a place to call her very own. Once her own place is secure, she wants to use some of the money to help her brother pay off his house so he can own something as well. John Michael LeBlanc. One homeless man went from happy to sad in rapid succession when he discovered a winning scratch ticket and then was prosecuted for cashing it in. John Michael LeBlanc thought it was his lucky day when he found a scratch ticket worth $260, but it turns out that it had been lost by a woman earlier that day who had taken a photo of it on her phone. When the woman reported it missing at the police station, John was prosecuted for cashing in the ticket. He claims the classic legal defense of finders keepers, which didn't go over well with the magistrate. He was ordered to pay back $260 in compensation, which he had already spent on a bus ticket, and was fined an additional $130 on top of that for the charge of stealing by finding. Fortunately, the story doesn't end there. Local residents Kylie Ann Ware and Cameron Elliott were outraged at the verdict and offered to pay the fine for him. In addition, the pair were able to raise over $1,300 for John once word about the verdict got out. So what are the odds of you winning a Powerball jackpot? Based on all the possible numerical combinations, your odds are about 1 in 292 million. Yikes, we definitely wouldn't bet on those odds. What would be the first thing you would do if you won the lottery? Would you buy a giant mansion, fill your garage with incredible cars, or just pay off your crushing student loan debt? Tell us your game plan for your imaginary wealth in the comment section. Before you head out to buy some scratchers, be sure to like our video and subscribe for more. See you next time!